and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is going to be the next part of our music app series. In this video, we are gonna list down the playlist, and also we will be having the functionality to add or remove songs to from the list. So that's basically something that we will be targeting in this video. So yeah, let's just get started with this and start implementing where we left the stuff. Okay. So the first thing when we get over here into the code is that we will be creating a new branch, playlist. Okay, now this is done, and this is something we will be doing. Second thing is that make sure the server is running. I basically made some changes, so don't forget to get the pull of the latest changes first, and then run the server. Now all those two things are done. The next thing would be to start working on this. So the first thing that I would need is that I need to go to the playlist play song screen over here, and this is basically the song where basically we have this. So I need to add a couple of things over here so that I can allow the user to add the item to the list. So for that, we'll get over here into this. I basically created this new thing, and I'm going to say on playlist clicked. So that's this. The second thing is that this section is not required. Instead, I need icon for this. And if you remember, I added this icon into my home screen a couple of time ago. So I think it would something like this, Android X Media 3 or something like this. So I'm going to reuse the same icon over here as well, and this is going to be add to playlist. The rest of the stuff is fine. And now over here we'll just make sure that we pass the relevant stuff to this. Okay, that's that. Then we go over here into this section. This section should also be saying like this. Okay, that is that. And now if you go to the song content, this will complain, and that's basically exactly what we wanted. Now on playlist click doesn't mean that we will be going to playlist screen. We also need to fix the preview side for this as well. Okay. Now, when user click on this, what we want to do is that we want to take that user to, show a dialog to the user. Okay. And that dialog would be, containing a list of playlist from where user can select, and whichever playlist user select, the song will be added to that playlist. So that's something that we want to do. So to handle that, what we need to do, the first thing is that you need to go to the server Swagger open API. So once you do over here into logs, you can see over here this is basically the side. One is the get playlist. This is already something we have implemented, and over here if you see the update playlist, not update playlist, post playlist, where we can add the songs. So it requires a list of songs that we will be adding, and that's something we will be doing, right? And the second one is basically remove playlist from there, and which means it's basically similar to what we use for adding the songs, but the difference is that it's a delete parameter, like delete request, and that's basically something we will be using. So now let's just first start with this one, the playlist that we have. So to handle that, I'll go over here. Let's just go to the view model. Not play song model, it should be playlist repository. So I'm gonna go to playlist repository over here, and now over here we have these two functionality. Let's just add the third functionality, and that third functionality would be to add song to this. So suspend function add song to playlist, and what it requires, it basically requires a playlist ID and a song ID in this, and then we will be creating one method in the API service that will be basically taking these two functionality and will be returning that. And this is not going to be playlist model. Instead, this is going to be update playlist song response. So that's something we will be using for that. And also this should not be added this way. Instead, it should be using update playlist song request, it will be using this. Okay, now let's just get started with basically creating these models for this. So we'll get over here into the model class, create a data class, and this is going to be this request class. And as I said, we'll be using playlist ID and song ID for this. I think we don't need the playlist ID. Instead, the song IDs is going to be the list of strings. So that is something I think we need. If we look here, so that's important to make sure of this. And this is that. Okay. And this is request. We also need one for response as well. For response, you will see that for when there is a success case, it's have this songs added message and it will show you the count. Okay, so we'll be saying, and that is going to be an integer. Initial value should be null. So that's something we will be using. And now we go back to this section. Let's just import the relevant classes that we created. We don't need that playlist ID here. We just need the song IDs. And that is also going to be song IDs. That is list of. Right, we'll pass that. Now this functionality is not available in the API service. So let's just get to the API service and add that functionality. And as I said, this is going to be this and something like this. Okay, so the song IDs are not song IDs. Instead, this is going to be request object, and that is going to be update playlist song request. That's there. Response is going to be update playlist song request response. I think that's that. We can also make it simple ID, so to make it like slightly easier to understand. We get over here. Let's just verify if this is the correct section. I think that is the correct way to handle the correct endpoint, to be honest. Okay, so now this section is done. Now it requires a playlist to be passed, so I can pass that playlist separately into this, and we get rid of this as well. So this is the first section to add. Now let me just create the other one, like the remove one as well. So we'll be saying you need suspend delete song from playlist, and it will be like similar to what we have. It will basically, rather than adding, it will be basically remove song from playlist. Okay, so that is the functionality. The rest of the stuff is pretty much similar. We are not making any more change into this. So let's just go again to the API service that we have, and this is a post request, right? So we'll be creating this as delete request. And what do we need? I think that's something we need. The rest is pretty much similar, right? That's one thing. One more thing I think you need to make sure, and that is basically when we talk about the delete, its response is supposed to be songs removed. So rather than songs added, it should be song removed in this case. So basically we need to make sure that we also have song removed as well as a variable so that we can use it accordingly based on the need. Okay, so now in the playlist repository, we have these two functionalities that we have implemented. One is add to playlist and the second one is delete from the playlist. So that is done. Now I'll get back over here to my song screen, or at least song view model. And now over here, as the functionality is, we'll be creating function on add to playlist clicked. So what it requires, it basically will be using we'll be having a song ID. We don't need much from here. So once you basically, when someone click on this section, what we need is that basically we need to get some sort of list of playlists that are available, that are basically created by that user, right? So in that case, what you can do is that you can first say wall list is equals to repository, no, not music repository, sorry, it should be we get over here, create wall playlist repository as this, and now over here we'll say playlist repository dot get playlist. That's that. And now we will be using when list dot like this. And now we know that basically it's a success or error case. So basically that's that. Now what exactly happened, like if it's an empty, we have basically no playlist available, which means that we can show some sort of error to the user for now. The next thing is basically on playlist selection. Like basically when user have list, we would want to show some sort of a dialog from where user can select that which playlist the user should add the song to, right? So to do that, you will have to create one event over here, and that event is going to be something like this, and it should contain list of playlists. So basically we will be using list of playlist models. Okay, now once you do that, you will get over here into this section, and now over here you know that this will complain because definitely you need to do some sort of implementation for that. Now over here there are two ways. One is basically to create a different screen, which is like not feasible in this case. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a bottom sheet for this. How to basically will be creating a bottom sheet dialog that will basically be able to help us to basically create select the item that user want to add, and then from there we'll basically update the playlist. So the first thing for that is basically we need a sheet state. The sheet state is basically required for bottom sheet. So we'll be using, remember, modal bottom sheet state. Now it will basically be a couple of things that we would want. The skip partially should be false for this. And we also need to make sure that it should be opt-in as material 3 API, because this is an experimental API for now. And there has been a lot going on alongside this, right? And then the next thing that we need is that we need to basically make sure if everything is if we are supposed to show that. So should show sheet, and that is going to be remember, and that is going to be mutable state of false for now. Okay, that's two things. Third thing is the list that we would want, and that is going to be wall playlist is equals to this. Initially it will be empty, and when we have the data, we'll be using as it.list. So that's that. We should also be saying that should show the list as true, which is fine. And now inside this whole, in the bottom of this, what we are gonna do is that I'm gonna create something as if everything is good. What we should do is that we should say bottom sheet modal bottom sheet. On dismiss request, it should be saying is that but basically if it's dismissed, we should be saying that the state value should be false, which means that this becomes false and it will get hidden. Else the sheet state will be passed as a parameter to this, and then after that, with all these stuff, the last thing would be to create this section, which will basically be having some sort of a title on top of it, and then as a playlist you can have all these things like this. Now basically there are two ways to do it. One is basically to use it directly for each, but let's say you have a lot of other stuff, a lot of values. In that case you might not want to have, and you will need some sort of performance optimized stuff for that. So for that you can say lazy column, right, and I'm gonna say items as list, and for that I'm gonna say playlist.value, right, and now inside that we'll be just using that playlist item that we already have it, and it requires two things. One is the model, so I'm gonna say playlist model. Second is just that parameter that we have, and now in the view model it should say add song to playlist. So once you do that, you can create a member function over here, and that is going to be this. So the first thing is going to be playlist ID, and the second one is going to be song ID, I think so. And this is important. You need to make sure whatever you are passing is correct, because if you pass a wrong value, you might end up, in a situation where you'll not be able to identify what exactly is going on over here. So that's something that we have done. We can also take it out from there. And now over here inside this section, what happened to this? Okay, I think we don't need that, so we're fine. Now over here inside this, again we'll be using ViewModel scope.launch. Now inside that, the simple and straightaway thing is to basically we'll pass that section. If it's success, will basically be showing error. It's basically kind of a success message, but we'll be showing this. And in case of that, it will be showing that. So I think that's pretty much what we would want. Now let's just try to run this whole code and see if everything is working. So let me just run that. Okay, so the app is now installed and now we are over here. Let me just click on that. Sorry, not here. Let me just click on any song, and now you see we have this button that we can see. My backend running. Okay, and now let me just click on that play. When I click on that, it should allow me to do that. Okay, let's see what is wrong here. Go to the song screen, playlist. Okay, you can see when the playlist clicked, we are not showing anything. So we'll be using ViewModel dot on add to playlist clicked, and we'll be passing the song ID into this. Now you should be able to see when you run it, you should be able to see a bottom sheet coming from the bottom, and that's exactly what we wanted, right? Okay, now we get over here, we can click on that, and you can see as soon as I click on that, I get like all these things. Let me just click on this. Does not contain an ID. Okay, when I click on that, it says parameter this ID doesn't contain. So something is wrong with the API service section that we created. Okay, I found the issue. So the issue is that this ID should be smaller letter, not the capital letter. So that's why it's creating problems. Okay, now we are over here. Let me just click on that. You will see this is there. You can see the song is basically added to playlist. We get over here, we basically add this song. You can see it's been added over here, 7 rings. Click on that, you're getting the bottom sheet, and as you click on that, it's adding basically the stuff to this. The only problem that you will see over here is that basically you are not getting the count, and I think the reason for that count is something else, and we can fix that. Let me pause the song first. Now the problem here we have is that if we go to the playlist model, so if we go to the playlist model section, what's that? Playlist model. So like when you get over here into this section, you have these songs. This should be wall songs count integer, something like this. I think it is sound count. Let me see if it's the song count or something. Okay, it's song count, not songs count. So I think once you use that in the playlist item, now over here in the playlist item we are using, if you remember, we are using the list of songs, which is not being passed in this. So instead, if we use song count, we should be good. And now if you run that, you will see some sort of count in the existing playlists that we have. Okay, now if I go over here into any song, let me just open any song, go to the list, and now you can see that basically we can see the count of the song. Now the next target for us is basically when user click on this, we should show that list to the user, right? So let's just work on that. let me just pause the song first. Now over here, let's just create a new package. Let's call it playlist details. And now over here, create a MVVM feature, call it playlist details. When you click on the OK, you will see that it will create the relevant stuff as usual. And now what we need songs. So the first thing that I'm gonna use is I'm gonna use playlist ID as string that's needed over here. And now inside that we will be basically using the repository, again the same playlist repository that we had. So I'm gonna say playlist repository, but we should also say it as wall and private as well. Now over here we know what we need to do is that basically we are going to say ViewModel scope.launch, and then inside that you can just say that you get now the playlist details is not yet implemented, and we need to implement that. So we get over here into the playlist repository section and create a suspend function with name, and then we'll say playlist list ID as string, and it should definitely return a resource of playlist model. Okay, so somehow my Android Studio got crashed which is weird, but that was the reason, and its system is quite slow. My system is quite slow, but let's just fix this first and then I'll restart it. Now what I did over here is that basically again we say this, but this is not the playlist that we want. What we need is that we need a specific list where we can get the songs and all the stuff that we require for that. So if we go over here to the backend that we have, and inside that you can see get playlist by ID. This is the section. You can copy that, and it returns basically the model along with the songs, list of songs that we require. So that's something I think we will be using, and for that you can always go for this one. Again, this is again similar to this, so we'll be using this, and that's say get playlist by ID. And now over here we'll be using a path variable for this, which is ID and ID as string. Okay, so that is the one we get over here into the playlist. Gets by ID, we'll be using playlist ID, and then the rest is fine. Rest is exactly same like we do. And if we go over here into the view model, now you will be happy to see this. Now over here you can see it's requiring a list of string. Instead we will be using playlist model because that's what we need over here. And what else do we have? I think that's pretty much. We can also show some sort of I think we don't need any other event for that for now. Okay, so now this is done. We go over here into the detail screens, and in the detail screen we have not much. We can just get wall data over here as data, and this is going to be the playlist section. Now if data dot let data, sorry, not data, should be data dot, if the songs, okay, are not null, which means that basically the song is there, then what we need to do is that basically we need to create a lazy column, and the first thing would be an item that is the header kind of thing. Second thing would be to have some sort of items like songs, all the songs that we have, so we'll be using that for this. Okay, and we don't need this. We'll basically create our own stuff. Okay, now over here in this section what we need is that we need to create a box, and we'll be saying modifier dot fill max width, and we'll also add some padding to be 16 dp at least for that. Now inside that what we need is that we need an async image, but I think for that what we need to do is that we need to go for it dot first or null if there is any, cover image that is available, we'll be using that cover image, and then inside that we'll be using that async. Rest of the stuff is fine, or rather than having that, we'll be using fill max width. I think that should be fine because 16 dp is there. Basically we're leaving that, or let's say size, make it a square and call it 200 dp. That's that. it.first.null, I think we just need this it, or let's say image, and then pass that image into this. So that is the image section, and then we will be using the name for this, and it's going to be title. Let's just import this relevant stuff for that, and in the modifier dot align, we'll basically be using alignment dot center horizontally, so that it can be centered. Top center, I think that should be fine. Okay, so now that's done. The name and the title of the song is there. Now inside these item, I'm gonna create a raw. This raw will basically be similar to what we have, the cover image that we have of 50 dp, and then we will also be having a column. The column should contain the rest of the stuff in terms of like the title of the song. We don't need that centered vertically, and we also be using at least one more as the artist dot. We'll be using the name for that, and lastly we'll be using a spacer. I'm going to use modifier dot weight 1f, and there will be one icon button in the bottom, by the end of that, and that is going to be an icon vector resource as icons dot default dot delete, and content description should be this. You can also apply a tint to that. Color dot red. Okay, now this is done. When user click on that, we will be saying delete song from playlist. This is basically this functionality over here that we want. So I'm gonna just say playlist ID as string, and then song ID as string as well. And now over here you can use the same functionality. Let's just say show error message rather than that, and then when deleted you will also be fetching that. So I think that's what we did. Is there anything missing? I think nothing is missing. Everything is as expected. The only thing is that we need to call this from somewhere. So the first thing we need to do is that we need to make a place for this. So you can say playlist details route, and this is going to be id as string, and then inside this app nav graph, this side like this, you can use this, and you can say playlist details route for this and this. And okay, we also need playlist ID for this, so that's that. And inside that, for the first time, we'll also be using this. So I think that's pretty much what we wanted over here. Now let's just try running this. Okay, so now we are over here. We'll go over here, click on that. Let me just click on that. So when basically I click on that, nothing happens, and I think that's because we are not handling that. So we go over here into the playlist screen, and this playlist item, it's been used playlist screen over here, right? Now over here you can say ViewModel dot on playlist item clicked, and you will be using this. Now we don't have that functionality in the ViewModel, so you can just create that as playlist ID. Okay, and now inside that what we need to do is that we need to ViewModel scope dot launch, and then we'll be just using that event will basically emit. Okay, so now over here we'll basically be creating this section, and now we get to go to the screen. So it will start complaining to create the next section for this. So we make sure we do that. On the navigate to playlist, we are not gonna navigate this way at all. Instead we'll be using playlist details route, and we'll pass the it.playlist id that we have. We don't need to have store state or restored anything, so I think we're good. Now let's just try running this again, and this time we'll basically be able to navigate to the list of songs, and we'll be able to see the songs there and hopefully delete them as well. So okay, now we go to the list songs. Okay, it says network error, expected the begin error but was begin object. So this means that the list that we are getting somehow is causing the issue. So where we are, this is the section, this is the get playlist details, and this is supposed to be playlist model. What mistake? Oh, okay. Now over here you can see that I'm getting a list of playlist model. Instead I'm supposed to get that, and similar, and I think that is why this whole stuff we wrote is wrong, and so we're gonna be using this straight away. We don't need that, and we don't need that. Okay, now I think we should be good. Now let's just rerun this. This time hopefully this issue will be resolved, and we will be able to see the list, and hope this time it is correct. Okay, we go to playlist, we go to song, and now you can see everything is there. The title of their Sangyara, it should be not song, it should be the stuff, but I think we see the image there. We see the delete button over here, and it's clickable. Let me just try deleting one song, let's say 7 Ring. Okay, it says network error, HTTP message cannot contain a body. Okay, yeah, I think that is why. So now this problem with this delete is that it cannot have this body. It's basically not, the annotation is not supported. So to do that, what we need to do is that we need to change it to HTTP, change that method to delete. So the path should be this way, and we should also say has body, that is set to be true. So these are these 3 properties that you can use for delete, for deletes when you have a body that you need to pass, and hopefully this time the delete functionality will also be working. So we go over here, we go to the playlist, let's just try deleting that. Okay, somehow the song got deleted, but the list is causing issue. Okay, no, I think there is something wrong. I think I made a mistake again. So if we get over here, this is the playlist ID that I'm getting, delete, this is the playlist ID and song ID, which is fine. We get over here. Now over here again, you can see I made a mistake. I passed song ID in place of playlist ID, and vice versa. So that is important, and this is something that I mentioned previously as well, that you need to make sure to basically handle these kind of things. So now let's just fix this, try again. Okay, hopefully this time everything will be working. It's been a while since we are basically trying to hit and trial. Now let me just click on delete, and now you can see the item is deleted. The list basically removes everything from there, and this is basically how what we wanted. Now I think that's pretty much it for today. We have pretty much done. In the next video we'll try to cover up enhance our background service so that the next song, the playlist, can be handled, since we are now basically creating the playlist. And then I think after that we'll basically try to do a couple more things. There's not much in terms of like the complex functionality, so we'll see what we can do next. But yeah, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you like the video. Comment down below what do you think about the project, and I'll see you in the next video. So till then, happy coding. Bye bye.
Thank you so much for watching the video. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't forget any update. If you got any question, you can join my Discord server. The link is in the description. Also, for quick updates and tips, you can follow me on Instagram. Until next time, keep learning, keep developing. Bye.